All right, take two. How you doing? Oh, first of the year and I'm messing up. Now, see, that's something I should have written down. Always make sure that you start recording right away, which I didn't do. Thankfully, on Facebook, all you Facebook friends, all be right there. Um, but I'll go over that again. Write down your voiceover goals for this year. The things that you would like to accomplish, write them down. Put them on your computer, put them on your mirror in your bathroom, put them on your bulletin board, put them on the refrigerator. You want to constantly remind yourself of what it is you're trying to do, especially long term goals. Sometimes we kind of lose track of. Need to put down what are the small steps on the way to those big steps and write them down. Now, where I was going to go before I realized, oh, I'm not recording. Um, we have a voiceover community. And one of the things I like about the voiceover community, we tend to be much more supportive than some other actor communities. Um, so I want you to enlist your friends, the people that you know and trust in voiceover, that you hopefully are already talking to, socializing with, in voiceover workouts group with. Uh, those people who you trust and trust you, talk about it, what it is that you guys are trying to do. Hold each other accountable. Push each other to achieve the things that you want to achieve. And let's see, while I'm looking at this, let's say hello to some people. Hey, Rosemary Watson. Marwa, how you doing? Gabriel. Oh, Gabriel, you're there, man. Jeff, Yvonne. Flipping this up here. All right. Well, let me see if we have some questions here because that's the whole point of this thing. Ask Dave Fennoy anything and going to the, oh, yeah. All right. Hey, Thomas, good to see you too. Hey, Laney, what's going on? Happy New Year. All right. And now, wait a minute. Come on now. We can't just have a afternoon, an evening of Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. Uh, let's get into some questions. You got some questions about putting your studio together, putting your demos together, how to get away from reedy reads, all those kinds of things that you want to know. I'll go up here. Hey, Randy, what's going on? And thanks for the love. Appreciate it. Oh, Brittany, what's going on? Hey, how you doing? Um, let's see. Studios differ. What is the most shocking studio situation you've ever been in? Um, we started having home studios geez, 15, 20 years ago. And I think one of the most shocking things that I did, I went to do some anime at a studio. And this has happened more than once. It wasn't just the anime. I've also had it happen at some commercials and even some promos for some smaller cable outfits where you went to a studio that my studio was better. And this was supposedly a professional studio where it's kind of makeshift and they just kind of bring in a microphone and throw up uh, uh, some kind of something to absorb sound. Maybe the engineer is right there. It's not really an engineer, it's just the guy pushing the record button. That's probably been the oddest thing to me. And of course, I didn't say that to them in this way. I did say, hey, I do have a studio if you'd like. We can phone patch you in and whatever. But in my mind, I'm going, why did they call me in for this? Why are they trying to pass themselves off as a studio when this just really is not a studio? But that's probably the weirdest thing that's happened to me studio wise, and realize that, oh, my studio is in pretty good shape. Um, and we're going to talk about studios. I'm going to get a studio expert in here on one of these Wednesdays. I haven't locked down the date yet. Um, but let me say this. It's a lot less expensive nowadays to set up a decent studio than it ever was before. The availability of decent microphones that don't cost a lot of money. I have a little Apogee that you're hearing me through there that $200, great little mic. And there's some other companies. You've got your Rhodes, you got your MXLs, you have your Blues. You have a number of microphones available to you for less than what it used to cost. The entry fee was used to be about $750 on up. You could find a used TLM 103 for that. Still can. Now, I definitely suggest getting the best microphone that you can afford. If you can jump into an AKG 404 or something, or a Sennheiser 416, or the Neumann U87 or 103, do it. But don't spend it before you've got it. Uh, there's quite a range of preamps and channel strips. You don't have to spend $2,500 on an Avalon. You can spend a couple $100s on something that will work until you have reached a level where you can afford more. Uh, you don't have to have, I've got a whisper room behind me here that I saved money by not buying it new. Had I bought it new, that whisper room was going to cost me about $9,500. Found it from a guy in Chicago, wasn't using it anymore. Hey, and what do you do with a whisper room? Once you set it up, it's just sitting there. He sold it to me for $3,000, cost me $1,400 to send. I ended up with a whisper room for half price. There are other ways to control the sound in your recording environment. Um, Heavy theater curtains will work. Towels put together will work. Of course, foam and rock wool also work. But there are a lot of ways to skin that cat that don't cost too much money. All right, let's see. We got any other questions here? Okay. Did you do VO work while on vacation? I did a little. Often I do a lot of work. I did a little, didn't do that much this time, and the work I did on this one was actually auditions. So no real work this time. Some auditions, and that was about it. But I've been busy since I got back. Are phone patches still being used often, or are they fading away to IPDTL and Source Connect? What's fading away to IPDTL, or IPDL, as I call it, and Source Connect is ISDN. Phone patches still work in studios now. A lot of clients will call direct, but you're recording the files on your end. And sometimes if you've been working with a client for a while, or they know your reputation, then they won't even call to direct. They'll just have you do it. But for phone patch situations, uh, I use Skype or my cell phone. I've got a little my cell phone Bluetooth in my ear. It works really well for me for people to call my cell phone, and they're hearing me through that, and also hearing the read and can direct me that way. Or I have Skype uh, set up right through my studio, so they can hear me, I can hear them, but it's wired in such a way that their voices do not get recorded. Okay, let's see if we have any questions here. Oh, still nice. Happy New Year's. Oh, nice, nice. Hey, Randy, Thomas, Chris Borders is watching. What's going on, man? Hey, Dave, I'm huge. I was just wondering, who was your favorite voice to act, and who? Okay, um, not really trying to answer those kind of questions. More of the fan questions. Um, I, I'm going to say Lee Everett in the Walking Dead game because it was so many gifts that Lee Everett gave me. It took me from being a working actor that people knew. It was like the character actor that a lot of people know until they get a really good part and get nominated for an Oscar, and then suddenly they have a name. No longer that, hey, I like that guy or I like that girl. I see her in a lot of stuff. What's her name? So Lee Everett from The Walking Dead. All right. Let's see. Oh, can we go up a little more? Oh, went past a bunch of more. I'll come back there in a minute. Uh, are you coming over to see the VoiceOver Network friends in the UK anytime soon? Probably sometime late in the spring or early summer. What about voices.com interview? What's happening? I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think they want to have that conversation with me. They've had a few conversations with people who they could not pull the wool over their eyes. And I think it's left them a little, they don't want to tell the truth is ugly and they don't want to tell that truth, and have it broadcast to a lot of people. All right. Are you and George ever working on the studio tweaking or have you done that yourself? I do have George come in from time to time and help me tweak something. Or if I get a new piece of equipment that he knows about or suggested, I'll have him come in and we'll work on it. Um, okay, DBX 286, $200. Yes, talking about channel strip, preamp. That's a decent one. All right. I'm trying to control a bit of Irish accent. I grew up in lots of adults from Ireland, as well as my remnants of my youth in Queens, New York. Um, Two ways to go. One, if you're living in the United States, sooner or later, some of that's just going to get into you. Wherever you are, if you're New York, you're going to pick up some of that. One of the things you're going to find, uh, you will think your accent is still very strong, and then you'll go home to Ireland and they'll go, you've got this American accent. You won't quite realize it unless you're really paying attention. Um, but if you really want to, and what I would say is don't lose the accent. Don't lose anything that you do well. Add other accents. Learn how to do an American accent. And that's by listening and really paying attention and imitating. Or you can pay money to somebody uh, who does that. There are a number of people out there. You can find them on the internet that teach you how to get rid of various accents. I've always found works best for me just to listen, imitate, and it'll start. Once you get one down, it'll start developing your ear to get some other ones. All right. How do I feel about Zoom for use as an ISDN replacement? I would not use Zoom for a replacement for that. It's a good program, but that's not what it's designed for. Lost audio anywhere else? My screen says Fred is talking. Quiet, Fred. Fred's not here. Fred's not here. Now, what you are saying is I'm connected as Fred, but that's me talking. And if you're hearing noise or lost audio, I don't know what to tell you. Anybody else lost audio? Okay. Do you have any variety of microphones? You have a variety of mic. How do you choose which mic is best for a particular job? Unlike a lot of people, that's not how I choose microphones. It usually has more to do with, oh, I got a wild hair up my butt. Let me work with this microphone for a while. And every now and then, I'll get a little tired of my sound, and wow, that's a good excuse to buy another microphone. Uh, Most of the time, I'm either using a 416 or a TLM 103. I have a U87. I like the 103 better for my setup. I have a 5x7 whisper room. The U87 is a great mic, one of the world's best. However, it likes a big room, and the bigger the room, the better. So, truth of the matter is, I don't really switch up mics based on I think this will give me this sound and this will give me this sound. And I think the best thing, unless a microphone just really alters your voice and just really makes it ugly for some reason, um, any mic will do. Any good mic will do. Let me put it that way. Worry much, much more about your performance than about the nuances of microphones that most people will not hear. It will not make a difference to them. Okay, good for you keeping the pressure on the voices.com. Suggestions suggestions for pursuing work internationally. Well, the world is getting smaller and smaller. And sorry there, Facebook, it kind of clicked off for a second, but you're back. The world is getting smaller and smaller because of the internet communication, how fast we can get from place to place. So, getting international work is definitely possible. And once again, do your homework, find the agents that are overseas. And if you're an English speaker, uh, you almost have a leg up because English is our first language, it's the world's second language. So often they are looking for English speakers all over the world to do commercials. I remember being in Malmo, Sweden for Nordic Fest, which is a game developer conference. And the thing that amazed me was the whole thing was in English. All the Finns, all the Swedes, all the Danes, all the Norwegians, all the Germans, and all the Englishmen, and anybody else that was there was speaking English. And quite clearly, sometimes the accent was just so slight. Um, Another way to start finding out and getting representation internationally, widen your group of voiceover friends. Facebook makes it real easy to have friends in Australia, friends in England, friends in South America, friends in places all over the world, in the Middle East, in Africa. And so the voiceover people who are there that you are friends with, um, you can ask them, who are the good agents here in Cape Town or there in Cape Town? Who are the great agents in Belgium? Who are the great agents in London? And make sure your program is together to represent yourself as a voice actor to those agents and move forward. And that's a good goal for this year. Steve Bailey, what's up, man? Here's a question: what can we do if there's no voice talent study group in town to bounce things off of and get some help with our performances? A couple of things. I've got my voiceover workout group, and it's small. Every other Thursday we do that, and that's available to you. Um, and once again, uh, Facebook. And I'm not the only one that's doing workout groups that are online. So keep doing a search on Face Group and any voiceover groups that you're a part of, and I'm sure you will find an audience there. I'm interested to know where it is you are because I see people from Atlanta, from Dallas, from South Carolina, definitely all the major cities in the United States. Maybe you're more rural than that. Uh, but there are voiceover workout groups everywhere. All right, Tim, what's going on? Oh, audio sounds fine here. Thank you. Audio fine. Yeah, sounds great. Okay. Do you use Isotope 6 or any other editing program? I have it. I don't use it often. I play with it sometimes, and it always seems to me it was better before I started messing with it. So maybe I'm just not really good at it, or my ear is really used to just nice, clean sound. Now, I'll tell you what I have discovered, though. Um, People who are putting together uh, spots, who are actually mixing, often will mix your voice in a way that if you hear it by yourself, you'll hate it. Maybe they're rolling off the bass and pumping the highs or the mids or something. It'll sound really ugly to you. But when it's mixed in with the music and the sound effects and whatnot, wow, suddenly it sounds great. Um, and you find that also in music and in singing. So personally, I just like a nice, clean signal. Right. How much of the day are you spending each day on marketing yourself? Um, Probably I probably could and should do more, um, but I do some. I don't break it down into how many hours, but there's a certain amount of marketing that goes on every day. However, once again, I come from old school. I've got agents and managers who also do a lot of that. Now, I'm not saying if that's your position, you should leave it all up to them, but that does help. That does help. Let's see. What was the long one, Melvin? I was talking to someone that said he liked my voice and he has a project involving an automated system for school buses and thought I would be perfect for the system. Voice announcements. I don't know the size of the project or how I should determine a price for the work once I found out the size of the project. Um, Having never been a voice on a bus or bus system, I don't know. I do find, however, that projects like that typically pay a lot less than you think they might. Um, what I would do with something like that would be to answer those questions that you're talking about. How long is this going to be there? What's the bus system? Is it in a major city? Is it uh, Greyhound buses? Is it school system? Did you say school system? Yeah, school buses. Um, I'd find out how much work it is, how long it is, or how many pages. A lot of people count words. I tend to count pages. Um, and how long they intend to use it, and base your price on that. And a good way to start is what's in your budget. And another three words that you might learn to just let fall out of your mouth whenever anybody gives you a price: can you pay me more? Um, I Can you pay me more? Also, on the other end, when you're buying stuff, can I get it for less? You need to be able to say that. Can you pay me more? Can I get it for less? Those two things. Learn to say them. Uh, do you have to have an agent to be part of SAG-AFTRA? No. I'm No, no. You could be a SAG-AFTRA actor and not be represented. Sadly. Steve's in Madison, Wisconsin. I bet there's some voiceover people in Madison, Wisconsin. And also, what's the nearest big city? How close is that to Chicago? Um, don't have a map in front of me yet. Or the Twin Cities. Um, I would look for voiceover groups in the closest larger cities to you. But Madison's good sized city. Good sized city. All right. Hey, some more questions there. Let me see. Who's got a question? Um, is it possible to have a voiceover career online instead of moving? Absolutely. We have the voiceover world's a little different than it used to be. It used to be you needed to be in one of the major cities: New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, maybe San Francisco, maybe Dallas, Atlanta. Um, but if you weren't in New York, Chicago, or LA, it really determined the type of career that you were going to have. To a certain extent, that's still true. However, there's much more work for people who have home studios and you can be anywhere. Thanks to the pay to play sites, not a fan, but they're a reality of our business now. And other things. I know people getting started on Fiverr. Once again, not a fan, but it's a reality of our business. Um, as long as you have a website and you are doing enough marketing to attract people to that website and find people that you can contact to tell them about your service. Notice I say your service. You are doing them a service. You are providing them a service. You are not asking them for work. You want to solve their problem. As long as you can do that, there's a whole other tier of work that I will say is the not often seen or heard work, but very often paid for work. Um, Depending on where you're living, maybe you're not going to be in national commercials. Maybe you're not going to be on cartoons or video games, or very few of them. but there's a lot of e-learning out there. There are a lot of corporate commercials out there. There are a lot of commercials for smaller markets that are out there. And you can actually market yourself really from anywhere and do this work from anywhere. It will not allow you to come into the studios in LA and Chicago and New York, but um, that won't keep you from having a career. All right. Oh, would you put the info on your upcoming video games webinar? Okay, yes. Um, by the way, on Monday the 9th, right here, we'll be doing a free webinar, voice acting for video games. It is the third free webinar as I'm getting ready for a 4-week webinar, voice acting for video games, that will start on 4 consecutive Mondays beginning January 22nd. Uh, so if you can tune in Tuesday the 9th, and I'll be posting the info on where you can sign up. But it's Dave Fennoy, VO for Games class.com. Dave Fennoy, VO for Games class.com. Okay, and thank you for reminding me, because once again, uh, love to share the info. I'm not a salesman. All right, let's see what we have here. Oh, Robert Clodworthy, what's going on, man? As I'm scrolling through here, one of the best things about this as a career is having friends who are so doggone talented. It's one of my favorite things about what I do. Oh, hello, Atara, Brian. What's the best approach to contact video game animation companies to market myself? Tundra. Um, Good question. Because although we have a lot of AAA game makers, we think of the huge game companies, but with all the schools that have game development programs now, and the hundreds of students that are coming out of them, and the size of the video game industry, it's the biggest entertainment industry in the world, more money than music and movies combined. Um, there are a lot of independent video game companies and a lot of schools that are looking for talent for their uh, graduation projects. So I would use the internet. I would find all the video game companies that I could, and I would contact their writers. I would contact their casting directors. I would contact their directors and send them your demo, direct them to your website. If you have been doing video games, let them know what games you've been on. For the schools, the reason you're contacting them is not because you're trying to get paid by them, because they probably don't have money, but you want to help them with their project. One of the things that happens in movies, where we see the same people in movie after movie after movie, and it's almost like it's a production crew. They've got this, you don't see it, but there's the same cameraman, there's the same sound guy, there's the same crews, and they're the same actors doing different stories. We've seen this with a number of films. Very often that's because a writer or director early in their career started working with some people who showed up, did the job well, and they had simpatico, and they just continued and continued and continued. So the casting directors, the directors, uh, the writers, that's who to contact at those companies. Also the schools. Okay. Okay. Deb Sommerfeld, question. What would you suggest for sound absorption in home studio? Well, the thing most people have done for years has been the acoustic foam and or rock wool, the 2x4 slabs of rock wool that you can cover in burlap. But I saw a video of a fellow who did a study And the very most absorbing thing in the world actually are towels. So a bunch of bath towels put together, four or five, and stretched over, wood would work. And you could either buy them used, you wash them again, or where the hotels get them. One of the places that supplies hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of towels, and you probably get a deal, could probably get them for $1 or $2 a piece. Or uh, there are things like uh, thick, heavy curtains. I prefer theater curtain. A closet with clothes in it. Although, after a while, you don't want to be in the closet with your clothes, but that'll work. You're just getting started, that'll work. But you can actually even be in a room that doesn't have much in the way of fabric that's absorbing the sound. If there's lots of stuff on the walls, if you've got shelves with lots of knickknacks and not many hard spaces, just big hard spaces, because the sound hits that shelf, there's stuff on it, and it doesn't have a chance to just bounce straight back. One of the things you can do is set yourself up in a corner, and then you could hang curtains in that corner. You say this is the corner coming this way, and you could hang curtains in that corner, and your microphone's right here, and all your sound is going into, say, those curtains, and that'll work. Rest of the room can be wide open. Okay. I was told and shown that Craigslist has job openings for VO work. Any opinion on the quality of the jobs and where it is? Yeah, you know what? Especially if you do a national Craigslist search, not just in your town, you can definitely find jobs there. Uh, Commenting on the quality, one never knows. Uh, my suspicion is that you're going to find fewer great jobs. Oh, unless my phone is running out of juice. Let's get him plugged in here and juiced up again. Ah, yes. Now, oh, there. Okay, it's reconnecting. Yeah, there. We're back. Um, Answering that question again. Even through agents, you're going to find better jobs. Lesser and better jobs. And usually we're talking about what they pay. I have always found that the best careers are built on lots and lots and lots of jobs. Hopefully, a lot of repeat business. So, yeah, Craigslist will work, and you never know where that next blessing is coming from. You'll find somebody that they didn't quite know how to find a voice. They put it on Craigslist, but they've got a chain of stores in the Midwest, and you become the voice of that chain of stores. Um, a lot of times we shoot ourselves in the foot when we decide, oh, well, that's not going to be enough. Oh, there aren't going to be good jobs there. I'm going to tell you there are going to be good jobs there. There are going to be some bunk jobs too, but you will find some good jobs there. And one of the things I would suggest, especially if you are um, you're a do-it-yourself guy, you're promoting yourself, you're finding your own jobs, just like somebody else shows up to work at 9 o'clock in the morning and they're there till 5, show up at your computer at 9 o'clock and do your search for an hour or so before you get into auditions and jobs and whatnot. Or, if a job has to be at 9, move that hour someplace in your day. But make sure every day you're looking for work. All right. Doo-doo. Throwing in the towels. I love it. With corners, you have to watch out for booming. Well, you don't have to watch out for booming so much if in those corners you've got really good sound absorption. Could be those towels, could be theater curtains. There are a number of ways, and it's actually easier in those corners. You might have to do something from up above as well. Hi, Dave Everson. Got an agent. What can I do to provide the best working relationship with them? Well, you want to let them know who you are and what it is you do. They signed you because they know you can do something. They either auditioned you or listened to your demo tape. and said, "Hey, we can promote this guy, this guy or girl. This case, it's guy. Um, this is somebody that we can represent, that will book jobs, and we can have 10% of, and we can help them, and they can help us." Uh, what I suggest is keeping open lines of communication with your agent at least once a year. Let them know what your goals are. As a matter of fact, this is a good time of the year to do that. It's the first of the year. You have certain goals for yourself. Don't keep those to yourself. Get in touch with your agent, even if it's just sending them an email of these are the things I want to do. But I would suggest, because our relationships are how the world works, I would suggest going in and seeing them. Hey, can I get 15, 20 minutes, half an hour to sit down and talk with you about my goals for this year? They may not have that much time. They may not want to do it, but at least they'll know you're interested. It might be a conversation on the phone, but let them know that you're interested. A lot of times we're so happy to get, oh, I got an agent. I'm not going to bother them. Bother them. Don't bother them a lot, but let them know you're interested in your career, and make sure you ask them for the best advice they can give on what you can be doing to further your career. All right. I put my studio together, PVC, 1 inch PVC, about 5 by 5, and hung foam mattress pads. Works great. A couple of clients commented on the pristine quality of the sound. Not very expensive either. Yeah, it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be expensive. Now, one of the things that may happen is aesthetically, it's very nice to come into a place that looks good, feels good, and gives you a sense of accomplishment and quality. Despite the fact that it's working great, at some point you may have a camera in there, and clients see what it is and might get to feeling a certain way, or you might get to feeling a certain way. I'm not saying that you need to get rid of that or it's a bad idea. I'm just saying there's going to come a time when you're going to want to upgrade. You're just going to want to. All right. Do you have a source for theater curtains? I would go online and look. I would also, check theaters and, are they throwing away any curtains? That kind of thing. Um, 2018, do you think the amount of voiceover work will increase or be similar to 2017? I hadn't even thought about that, except personally. Of course, I wanted to increase. Um, I think we're in pretty good shape. I have a feeling it's going to increase. The more the world turns to the internet, the more uh, people are doing videos that are showing up here and there. They're going to be more. They're going to need more narrators. Um, Corporations are going to need more people doing uh, training videos, and educational videos. I think it's going to increase. Uh, how often is uh, how often is too often to contact your agent? Every week, give them 3 4 months for that kind of talk. Hopefully, you're contacting them on a regular basis because you're booking. I'm in touch with my agents every day, but not for the meeting of, look, this is what I'd like to do this year. These are my goals. What can you suggest? How can I help you help me? You don't want to try to have that every week or every month. I think about once a year is real good, unless something's going terribly wrong. If you feel like you're not getting the right kind of copy, you got a buddy at the agency that's getting stuff that you think you ought to get, that would be a time to talk to them. But don't wear them out. Okay. I'm disabled and not sure how my disability will affect the amount of work I can do. How can I avoid being labeled as doing VO as a hobby? The way to do VO and not have it be a hobby is to make money. Um, when you say disabled, there are lots of different kinds of disabilities. I'm going to assume, I may be wrong, but I'm going to assume you mean you can't get around well. Maybe you can't drive places. That shouldn't stop you from booking still a ton of work out of your home. So I don't think that it will restrict you from having a career. There would probably be jobs that you couldn't get to that might, oh, we want you in the studio here in San Francisco or Los Angeles or wherever. If that's not a possibility, those jobs you won't get. But I guarantee, even jobs you book sometimes, you're not going to get because of time. Something that happens to me happened to me today. I'm booked up for the next 2 weeks every morning, and it's somebody. It was a cartoon or video game, I forget which. And they said, "Well, if you're not available between 10 and 2 on Friday, you can't do it." Well, I the part was perfect for me, so I auditioned and I let my agent know, and they booked me. If they can work out something other than 10 to 2, um, I don't know if they will or not. I'll probably find out tomorrow if they said, "You know what, you were so good, we're gonna move it because you're perfect with the part," or we'll find somebody else. It could go either way. So let's see. Except for the option of audiobooks, are there other areas that are looking at branching that you are looking at branching into this year? I'm not looking into branching into audiobooks. Uh, I already do um, most genres, and I just want to continue doing that. I just want to continue doing that. I have done 3 audiobooks. I hope to never do a fourth. Um, at what point is it time for you to fire your agent? Well, if you don't feel like they understand who you are, then you know, move on. If you're not booking, if you're not feeling like you guys get along, you need to like each other and have simpatico. I like my agents. If you're working with somebody that you don't feel is has your best interest at heart, is invested in you, makes me wonder why did they bring you on in the first place. Well, maybe they thought you were going to do something that you didn't end up doing. Maybe it's because they didn't understand quite, what you are, who you are. But if you're getting that feeling and you're not booking, it might be time to get another agent. And it's always better and easier to get an agent when you have an agent than waiting until you don't. Okay, let's see. Back here. It's a little harder to see the questions. The Facebook Live. I think that acoustic investment is good for the home studio. What do you think? I do. I agree. Clip based or story based gaming reel. What would you advise, Dave? Full production or just the voice? Wow, my good friend Mark Estale, who's a director and casting person out of London, uh, says he prefers no production at all. I disagree. I understand his point because I have heard a lot of, especially video game demos, that are overproduced. There's just too many sound effects, too much music, too crunchy the voice because of all the effects that have been put on it. And what he's looking for are good actors, actors who can make the part real. My suggestion would be your video game demo reel should have one spot on it, at least one, that's just almost monologue like. I'd want to demonstrate some action and have some efforts in there. I'd want that monologue piece, and I'd want a variety of some other characters. And the one thing I advise against is having too many crazy voices and accents, so much so that you don't get a sense of who you are. Um, you have to get a sense of who that actor is. What is it that the reason we like great actors is those characters are filtered through them and their voice, their mannerisms, all of that. Just making that character come through then. Um, that's what we buy into. And if we're not sure what your voice sounds like because you've done too many voices, or you started off with really bad accents, or there's too many of them and we aren't quite sure who you are, then you're kind of hurting yourself. All right, let's see. To get you in a gig in 13 months or six. What? I'm not sure. At what point is it time to? Okay, I'm not sure what that question is. Pain and fatigue are issues which interfere with overall function. That was my gentleman with the, ooh, that. That would make it tough. That would make it tough. And I can't tell you how much pain and fatigue you can take. Only you know that. But I imagine if you're using pain meds of some kind, and you'd have to find your sweet spot of time and medication that you can work, and maybe find particular things that you can do uh, to work. And that's a tough one. Let's see other questions here. Okay. Would you ever come to Australia? I love to come to Australia. Bring it, brother. I'm ready to go. What's your favorite Trump quote? I don't. I resign. Has he? Um, let's see. Happy New Year, cousin Dave. Hey, William. Uh, ah, oh, somebody suggested amywalker.com for accent coaching. And the accent coaching, once again, goes both ways. How to get rid of accents, or at least learn not to do it all the time, and how to do accents. Uh, okay. Okay, I missed that. Say. Not too big a fan of having 17 different mics. Well, I like them. They make me feel comfy, all those mics. Sennheiser shotgun is a good mic for traveling, position, and directions. It is true. I don't take my Sennheiser 416 traveling though. Even though because of its directionality, it doesn't typically hear the stuff off on the sides. It hears right to what's in front of it. I use my Apogee because it's smaller. It's a really good mic, and I would hate for somebody to. Well, I did carry my 416 for a while, uh, but every time I did, I got stopped, and they wanted to see the gun that I had in my bag. Okay. When do you know that it's time to do a particular demo or redo your demo? If your demo is dated, if you're not working a lot, like all the time, and your demo is dated, you need to redo your demo. Um, I was listening to a friend of mine's demo, and it was about 10, 15 years old, and you could tell because of the subject matter on the spots. Um, it's way past time to redo those. I'm not necessarily one who believes in updating your demo every year or redoing it every year. Um, and I am guilty of not updating my demos nearly as often as I probably should. But fortunately for me, I continue to work based on my auditions. And the demo, when I'm teaching voice acting for video games, and once again, I've got the webinar coming up on the 22nd. Dave Fennoy, VO for Games Class.com. Uh, when I'm teaching, one of the things I want people to understand is when you're trying to get into this business, when you're early in your career, your demo is much more important than when you're established. That's not to say that if you're established, you shouldn't have good demos, especially if you want to move into some other areas, some other genres of voiceover. Um, but your demo as a beginner, as someone just, a year or so in, has to be better than some of the pro demos that, well, they don't have to worry about. I don't have to worry about my demos as much as you have to worry about yours, uh, because you're competing with me and every other person that's working out here all the time. So your demo has to be great. Okay, let's see. Coming to any more conventions in the Midwest? If they invite me, I'm happy to. Yes, I did have a good visit in Texas, and it wasn't that cold there then, but it is now. I'm from South America, and I got my self-representation. Thank you, Dr. Orange. It's interesting. The world has changed quite a bit. When I got into voiceover, and a few times I was speaking at some SAG after meetings. Actually, they're after meeting and then a SAG meeting because they weren't together then. Um, and the question came up from a number of people from other countries. Gee, I have this accent. I'm from this place. Will they hire me? And it seemed like, yeah, for some specialty things. That's changed. We hear accents from all over the world all the time in the United States. Still, the American accent is what we hear most, but we hear Spanish accents or Latin speaking accents. We hear accents from India. We hear accents from Eastern Europe. We hear English accents, Australian accents, accents from everywhere. So that is not the barrier that it once was. Are you doing any workshops in the Northwest? I am hoping to come up to Seattle and do a workshop. We don't have a date yet, but yes, that's in the works. Uh, are you excited for Bayonetta 3? Well, I don't know. Nobody's called me yet. So I'll be excited if they book me. Brad Venable. Once again, one of the best parts of being in this business is knowing so many talented people. Hey, Ken Morrison from Glendale. Um, okay. No more questions there? Ah, yeah, that's my voice on the new Xfinity commercials. Although I think they have a number of people doing Xfinity spots, so it's not like I am the guy, but I'm one of the guys. Hello, Leah. Okay, you guys are just watching, but oh, Donovan, what's going on, man? Once again, a lot of great talent listening. I'm honored that you would spend your time. Uh, where is your next appearance? Right now, I don't. Do you mean teaching or do you mean at a convention? I'm going to be at VO Atlanta for sure, which is one of the two best voiceover conferences in the world. If you are interested in a voiceover career, it's a place you want to go. It's a place you want to. And that said, let's see a couple more questions, and we're going to wrap it up for tonight. Uh, I just came in. Did I miss any big points? Of course you did. But this is going to be up uh, probably later tonight or tomorrow on my YouTube channel and also on Facebook. And that's one of the things we love about Facebook Live. You can just, finish and post. And when is the next workout group session, sir? I do believe it's next Thursday. Um, one more question over here. Okay, Kevin J. Poe. If you can, do the 4-week webinar. I did it last year and it was a constant gold mine of great info. I love it when other people are patting me on the back, and it's in a practical setting. Well, thank you, Kevin. That was a great lead in because I want to mention again that beginning January 22nd, for 4 consecutive weeks, we're going to be doing voice acting for video games. If you would like to go to the website, it is Dave Fennoy, VO class4games.com. Oh, no, Dave Fennoy, VO for Games class.com. Sorry. Dave Fennoy, VO for Games class.com. I'll say it one more time. Dave Fennoy, VO for Games class.com. It's 4 weeks. We'll do a lot of character study. You'll have a good time. You'll have a good time. It's a 4 week webinar version of the workshop that I've been doing all over the world for the past 2 or 3 years. And oh, thank you. And thank you, Val. Oh, we still got a little time. What do you think of non-union commercial buyouts? How can I avoid buyouts in perpetuity if I'm not negotiating my own contracts? Is it appropriate to ask my non-union agent to negotiate? Well, if you've got an agent, that's what your agent is supposed to do, whether they're union or non-union. One of the things I'm noticing now is even union or even agents that are union agents are representing talent for non-union work because of the world we live in. There has been a war on unions and labor for the past 40 years. And somehow the 1% continues to convince the rest of us, well, not all of us, but enough of us, that somehow if we work for less and they get more, it'll be better for us. When they say the right to work state, no, that's the right to pay you less state. Um, are unions perfect? No, but the Chamber of Commerce is really a union for ownership. So workers need unions, and the only way for our unions to be strong is if we join unions. And yeah, you're going to pay some dues. Um, but one of the things about SAG-AFTRA, I will get a pension. I get health care that is affordable. Um, these are things I get somebody who to chase down payments for me. I get someone who can set what the prices are to be paid to talent. Um, I have watched this business pay voice actors less and less and less. There are those who could say that maybe it's because there are more people who are doing it now. But there's also a lot more work now, a lot more variety of work. The e-learning, the corporate narration, the museum narration, just, I mean, over and over and over. There's just more and more and more that you can't even think of that's out there. But it's up to us to join together in some kind of solidarity. I know some people think we're in competition, but nobody does what you do, just like nobody does what I do. We all do voiceover, but we're all unique. Just be the best you can be, and let's support one another, and let's support voice talent being paid well. Uh, I have turned down some jobs that, oh yeah, we'd like to, pay you, doodly squat and own it in perpetuity. That's insane. But it's a much bigger issue than just with us. It's a much bigger issue than just with us. Hate to get political, but this new tax bill, basically, we got robbed again. Big time. Big time. All right. One more question. Da-da-da-da. Oh, somebody mentioned the Chaotica eyeball. Yeah, I travel with it. I love it. It's a wonderful thing. I'm not sure I'd want to use it all the time, but in traveling, it works great. Gemma. Bed mattresses are great to prop against a wall, too. I love it. All right. Okay. Well, it's 7:02. We go for an hour, and this is the first uh, Wednesday webinar, Ask Dave Fennoy Anything of 2018. I want to thank you for joining me. I hope I was able to answer some questions in a way that gave you a little more information. We'll be doing it again next Wednesday. We're going to have more guests this year. So we'll have some special folks in to talk about some special things for you special people. And once again, coming up on January 22nd, Voice Acting for Video Games, a 4-week webinar. It'll be from 6 to 8:30. If you would like to know more and sign up for the one more free webinar on Tuesday the 9th, that's next Tuesday, or this coming Tuesday. Dave Fennoy, VO for Games class.com. Dave Fennoy, VO for Games class.com. One more time. Say it together with me. Dave Fennoy, VO for Games class.com. All right, that's going to wrap it up. Thanks again. See you when I see you.